Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse. I am Amy, along here with my sister Molly. We help high-achieving women increase their income, but most importantly, their impact. We are neighbors, sisters, and business partners. We have built 8-figure businesses together, traveled the world together, raised our children together, mentored thousands of men and women together, and it's all because we have a penthouse mindset. We aim for the top, and we show others how to empower themselves to peel back the layers and truly step into their greatness and calling. Welcome to Meet Me in the Penthouse.
Hi, everybody. You get me today, Molly Croker, as your host, and I'm just so excited to share one of my newest friends in my life, Amanda Freed, and I met her and her sweet husband on my Galapagos trip. And it was something, for those of you that don't know, I went to the Galapagos Islands after Machu Picchu, and it's been on my desire. It's been one of my desires since my zoology professor, when I was 19 years old, talked about the Galapagos Islands. And I know Chris, Amanda's husband, has like a similar story of reading about them when he was little, but that is where we got to know each other very well aboard our amazing ship. And it was truly an incredible experience. And you obviously get to know people really well when you are living in close proximity. And I fell in love with Amanda in the airport. I was like, oh my gosh, she's born and raised, and so is her husband, locals from Kona, Hawaii. And but blonde is blonde. You know, I have in my mind like a picture of a Hawaiian woman and a Hawaiian man, and it's like, no, would not have pictured that. But here they are. So I'm excited to share Amanda with you. So, Amanda, tell us a little bit about yourself. And then my favorite story, of course, we're going to talk about is how you pivoted. So, where do you live and what do you do now? And what do you love about where you live?
Well, as you've mentioned, we were both born and raised here on the Big Island of Hawaii. And I initially got into dentistry right out of high school. I dove into being a surgical assistant and doing on the job training for a periodontist and a maxillofacial oral surgeon, where we also did general dentistry. It was multi doctor practice. And I got into that through one of my dad's fishing buddies who thought he was going to retire. And then he decided, no, I think I need to open a practice here in Hawaii because we really need a periodontist. And I babysat his kids for years, and he loved my work ethic. So he said, you may not have the stomach for this, but I think you'd be great. And I want you to just try. I had no experience, so I started out really slow. It turned into a career for me. I did dentistry for 10 years, and at a point, 8 years into it, I got carpal tunnel in both my wrists, and I could no longer do side chair and dental assistant or technical things with patients, which is really what I enjoyed doing on hands work. So I did front office work instead, and it wasn't as fulfilling. It was dealing with insurance, trying to
Uh-huh.
get them to pay for claims, the financial aspect of it with patients, which was never pleasant on their side, obviously. But with all my experience, I did, have a lot of input into the office, and I was a valuable asset there. And I worked with a great team. But at some point, my husband and I, after getting married, 2 years into our marriage, we never saw each other. I worked during the day, and Chris was working two jobs. He was a handyman and also a server at a restaurant. So when we saw each other, we were half asleep. And we decided to get into wood turning as a hobby so we could spend more time together. And the wood turning evolved into a real passion of doing woodwork. I had that in my family history. My grandmother was a woodworker, and he grew up with woodworkers as well, who are renowned artists here on the island. He had some good mentors. We did wood turning. We sold our vessels, some Koa calabash bowls, live edge Milo. They're really beautiful works of art. and they flew off the shelves the first few markets we did, and they took months to make. So we said, well,
I
this
assume
isn't going
you
to
were
work
not,
out.
your price was not probably in your favor if they're flying off the shelves and they took months to make.
No. Well, as a novice woodworker, you don't have the name or the reputation. So we joined the West Hawaii Woodturners Club, where we actually had top expert woodturners and access to some amazing classes and professionals. And they let us know, like, it will take sometimes a decade, not a, yeah, to get your
Wow.
name out there and actually be able to charge thousands of dollars for a piece. So we thought, well, this is just going to be a hobby anyway. But
And you're
the
still working full time.
I was still doing dentistry.
Okay.
I was
Okay. So
doing both.
this is your fun. We get to like this is our hangouts. Instead of like falling asleep, we are gonna do this together. So you're still working your full-time careers in Kona. For those of you
Yes.
that don't know the island well, Kona is where you both have been born and raised and chosen to stay too.
Yeah, absolutely. We both traveled together. The way Chris and I met
I was like,
is
tell
in
the
a
story.
bar.
This is such a great story.
Okay. Well, the way we met was really random. It was just the right time and the right place. The universe placed us together right when we were ready to meet. He had just gotten back from India. He was there for a few months. And I had been to Europe a couple of times because my mom is from Germany, but I always wanted to travel. And here's this vagabond that just appears out of nowhere. And I was in a transitional period from one office to the next at that moment. And he said, well, let's go live in the back of a van and just travel west of the Rockies. So we did that just a few months after we met,
You're
fell
not
in love even
dating,
more.
or you are dating. You
We
are
are
dating
dating.
at this
We
point.
are
Okay,
dating.
so you're living in a van west of the Rockies
Yes.
and loving it.
And we did really well together. We came back on island for let's see, about a year. And then we decided we were gonna backpack around Europe. And we did that for 100 days. We backpacked and did the Eurail across Europe and
And
knocked
you
out
had
like a
one
20.
backpack each.
Yes, yes,
For 100
correct.
days, people, one backpack each of them did. And I think that says a lot about you, and no wonder you got along because I think Chris has been to 72 countries.
I think it's
Or,
63 now. Yeah,
okay. And I don't know if you have your tally of how many countries you've been to.
23.
23. And that is, I mean, of course, that's my love language too. No wonder we connected. And I love that Chris is back. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, what do they do for work? And I love how Chris put his trips up was working in the oil fields in North Dakota, saving up money and then going out and just having these incredible experiences.
Yeah, he was a vagabond for several years. That's just what he did. And I just fell in love with him right away. It was just sparks. Yeah. And we fall in love more every year, every day. We
I
never get
love,
tired of each other.
how long have you been married now?
We've been married for 8 years. We've been together for about 12 now. We work with each other every day.
This is so encouraging. This should be like a little marriage channel is every day you're working together. And I want people to know about your story with what you do for a living because that's so powerful. But when you were in living in the van, and I know we talked about like the sprinter van lifestyle, and Chris is like, let me just set you straight. That is not what we were doing. We were literally living in the back of a van. What were you doing to bring in income, or were you just on a hiatus, like you said, in between offices? So you had saved up money. Did you work at all while you were west of the Rockies? How long were you gone? How did you make ends meet?
Well, I did have some savings. However, our plan was, and what we did is we had a friend with a legal marijuana grow operation actually
Love it.
in Grants Pass. So we went and worked for him for about less than a month. And then we used that money to go do our travels for the next 2 months.
I
And
love
we just stayed at national parks and camped. And, the national parks have great facilities to do your hygiene care. And so we'd just move every day. We would go hiking and camping and enjoy forests and nature and do long little road treks in between. And yeah, that was our first adventure together.
after a few months. I love that. And how old are you at this point?
Gosh, I am 24. Yeah,
Okay.
24.
Thinking of your mom, like thinking of myself, like I have a 23-year-old of her saying, I'm going to go live in a van with this guy and just have fun and we're going to make it work and hike the national forest, stay in a van in the national forest. I think she obviously was very open and I love that. And obviously it created this deep friendship, not just a romantic relationship, but a deep, deep friendship when you're in that close quarters with each other.
Yes.
And at one point, did you have this idea? I know you said we weren't really finding any time to spend together being married. When did your hobby, because this is always a big question, when did your hobby become like your passion? And this is what we're doing. Because neither one of you is a trained artist.
Correct.
And
Yeah, we're
explain
self-taught.
exactly what you do and what koa wood is and everything, because this is really fascinating.
So we do laser engraving and we make functional art. And primarily the material we're using is koa wood. We make other things out of wood that are specially designed for laser machines, but we do focus on our Hawaiian endemic hardwood, which is koa. It's a protected tree. You can't harvest koa unless it's a fallen tree naturally, or you own the land that it's growing on. So there's a lot of reforestation, obviously. In the 70s, koa was sought after for being a really sturdy hardwood, and they used it as construction. So there are still a lot of churches and houses that are now historical sites where the whole framework is koa. So what we do is we use offcuts that would normally go to waste from small sawmill operations. Koa is really popular to make, of course, ukuleles and guitars. If you ever see performers with those beautiful tiger's eye curly koa instruments, we'll use the offcuts from those scraps. We resaw them, we prep them rigorously, and we make koa earrings and ornaments and bookmarks and keychains and fun souvenirs for visitors.
And what's your favorite thing to make? Do you have a
Oh,
favorite thing?
we do abalone inlay koa earrings, which are very satisfying and beautiful. I happen to be wearing some, but I don't know
I
if
was
you can
hoping you
see
were. I
them.
was like, I'm pretty sure those are it if I recognize that. So those
Yeah,
are your
and
favorite
the
things.
the other favorite thing I make are notebooks. So they're wood cover notebooks, and I shop press hand dyed and hand painted mulberry paper behind the stencil cutouts, and they're just very classy, and everyone loves them. Yeah.
I will say that's the thing I fell in love with was that notebook. I'm a huge journaler, not just journaling, but then a gratitude journal as well. And I know a lot of people like me that are entrepreneurs and we are looking for great gifts to give. I was like, Amanda, I'm totally switching everything to you and Chris. Number one, it's all about recyclable and sustainability. And also, it's somebody personally I know. I don't know Kendra Scott. I don't know, half the things I'm giving Tory Burch. I don't know any of those people, Louis Vuitton, but I love what you do and that you can't just go down and saw down a tree because you don't own the land, but you get to use reclaimed pieces and would have been thrown away and you make beautiful things out of it. So I love the story since I have an artist daughter. How did you even learn this? You're using these caliber
Yeah.
lasers.
Yeah, we did not go to computer graphic design school. We went to the School of YouTube YouTube and hard knocks, a lot of trial and error, learning how to use laser machines with something as finicky as a natural resource like koa did have a learning curve. Took about 8 months of research and development for
Wow.
us to narrow down how to make files, how to use the software and the machines integrally with, what we envisioned. And things didn't always work out. And we didn't know what we were doing in the beginning at all. But now we are one of the biggest booths at any pop-up market, and we set up an entire shop. It takes us about 2.5 hours to set up and break down. And we do that twice a week.
And you do it in Kona, just in Kona, right?
Yes, just in Kona. We also have two shops that we opened just last year, one in April and one in October in downtown Kona. They're, I'd say, 2 miles apart. And yeah, everything's going great. We've got a wonderful fan base locally, very supportive community. We fell in love with doing the markets because that community and just the support, the ohana that is found there is such a brilliant energy to be with every week.
And you said rain or shine. I mean, you set up and do the market but it took you a long time just to get even good at your passion, right? Working your full-time careers, working this in when you left the dentistry, Chris is leaving two jobs as well to go all in on your dream. What made you say, yeah, like what made you bet on yourself?
I've always had a strong work ethic, and Chris and I worked so well together. Doing the traveling, we planned a beautiful wedding together from scratch by just scraping everything together ourselves, doing, thrift store and garage sale shopping. And we put together this beautiful Amalfi Italian themed wedding on the slopes of Mauna Loa, where there was a ranch with like buffalo up
Oh
there
my
and
gosh.
peacocks. And it was just such a dream. And we had so much fun doing that and planning that we thought we should do something with, the way we work together. And we've always heard feedback about how people thought, you guys really have something special. And when we did the woodworking, that evolved into, yes, we definitely do. And we used the offcuts from those vessels to start making smaller pieces of jewelry. At some point, I was convinced by Chris to get the laser machine, which was a splurge for us. It was a big investment. And it took a few months of convincing on my end, honestly, having no experience. And he's an engineer, kind of a mind. So for him, it was a lot easier to envision that. And I did work the dental office for about 6 months, simultaneously doing the laser, starting to dive into that. And, when we started to make more money at the markets, it was like, I'm much more fulfilled doing this,
Oh.
knowing that we'll get better, knowing that we're evolving every week. And at the dental office, I was just feeling stagnant. I wasn't as challenged sitting in front of the computer most of the day. Like I said, dealing with insurance and claims. And yeah, at that point, it just all fell into place. And he still did handyman work for like the year into our business. And I had to beg him to stop. In Kona, if you're reliable and good, it is very hard for people to let you go.
They're like, no, we're
So it's
refusing. We're refusing to let you go, Chris. And so I think, have there been scary parts to this? And what is the scariest part of going all in on your dream?
we started the business in July of 2019. So in 2020, we had COVID, and it was difficult to say that we were going to go all in given the circumstance of what was going on. But I'm glad we did. I'm glad that we faced that challenge head on There were local support systems that really carried us through, and the uncertainty, of having your own business and just diving in head first. There's some instability with that. You're not going to get a paycheck at the end of the week.
There we
You
go.
determine what you're going to make with how hard you work and how persistent you are. And we've been very determined and very persistent. So
How
that's,
long, so 2019 July, and so we're going on well into 6 years.
yes, definitely.
And can you kind of gauge now that I mean, based on each year, the weather, everything like that, your markets, do you kind of know what each year is going to look like financially for you, or is it always just a gamble
We
month?
We do. Yeah. At the
Okay.
end, it always balances out. And I'm definitely doing better than I was in the dental field. Obviously, if I was a dentist who had my own practice, it would be a different case. And the practice that I worked for was a female run business. She was a great dentist, and she actually helped inspire me to become my own boss and entrepreneur, maybe inadvertently, but
I love that. And just, I want people to always hear like it was scary. It's not like you did it and you were fearless. You were fearful, but you took the right steps and kept, a lot of us keep our full-time career. That was me as well, while we build our dream until you're like, okay, I'm going to let go of this. It might not always be you rocket to the top, you're just swimming in money. But when you're living, and that's why we always say, but when you live with impact, the money comes. It always
yes.
does. And you have that knowingness about you. And so does Chris. If we have women on our podcast, I think our first man that we'll ever have will be our dad. But we love having women just because it's about women that pivot and pivot well. And Amanda has done that so well with the help of her honey. And when you meet them, they are just so loving and respectful. I think you could even go off and do something marriage wise, Amanda, like, I know you love what you do, but I think you could like teach couples, I don't know, how to love well, but it starts with loving yourself, right? So, this deep love for each other that you have, and this deep friendship and mutual respect in 8 years. And now you're expecting a little one, which is so exciting and not unexpected, but what a lovely addition after 8 years.
Yeah, we've been creating beautiful things together, and now we get to create the ultimate beautiful thing. So we're very excited about that new chapter in our life.
It's going to be quite a fun thing to watch and to just watch unfold because it's just beautiful. So I love our time together, Amanda. I think more than anything, just inspiring women to don't be scared to pivot. We always end with, what does it mean to live in the penthouse, since it's called Meet Me in the Penthouse? What does it mean to you to live in the penthouse of your mind? Because I feel like you easily do that every day, even when you were in the van. So I'll be curious what your answer is. What would you say is living in the penthouse to you?
I would say that's listening to your intuition and knowing that you can be confident in yourself. And I think that attracts other people and women who are in that same level of knowing they can succeed, break those barriers, face challenges head on, and reach a higher level of success and be happier with their quality of life overall. Of course, a penthouse is kind of that overlooking a sky, cityscape and cities, maybe, and beautiful business suits. So just having a network of people who are on that level of success. Yeah.
And you have surrounded yourself with those people for sure. And I do think what you do is absolutely beautiful. It's good for the planet, it's good for people, and they can go online so they don't have to just go to, fly over to Kona and go to one of your markets, which I definitely want to do this year is come to one of your markets when we head to Maui. But I love that people can go online. So I know do you want to say your website, even though it'll be in the show
Absolutely.
notes?
Yeah, so our website is freedhawaii.com. That's FREED, which of course is our last name, little play on words. We also have an Etsy shop, which is Freedform 808. And right before we left for the Galapagos, we launched files. So we constantly got feedback from people that they'd never seen anything like what we make for home decor anywhere. And we took our concept, the night lights and the desk lamps and the tea lights, and we're actually selling those files for other laser makers to create in their own home. So that's something fun that people can explore if they have any laser machines in their studio, just by happenstance. So they can also buy our real products, of course, our earrings and our products on Etsy.
I mean, it is quite, I know I was there as you launched it, and knowing that people were purchasing your digital assets while we were exploring with penguins and swimming with sea lions, it was happening. And it's so neat to know, wow, that's impact, right? It's not just something Chris and I love and the people of Hawaii, but other people that love this can now purchase the program so they can do it themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. And it's great to get little ones involved too. It's great learning. Families have a lot of fun with that technology and showing them how to create and engineer things themselves to build it. Yeah, it's a lot of great
It
learning resources.
Well, and you can tell you love what you do. So definitely go check out their website, Freed Hawaii, or is it Freed Form Hawaii?
Freedform Hawaii.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Freed.
Freed, last name is Freed, Freed, like I'm freed. I'm freed from my job. Freedformhawaii.com. And they have beautiful things. And like I said, the earrings, the night lights, the journals are my favorite. So I'm excited to have those in my hands. So and I just love because Chris and Amanda are the creators, the developers, they do the work, they are the makers of all of this. So you'll definitely want to support them and let's help them grow this massive impact that they have and follow along on their journey with their new little addition. So we're so grateful. Thank you so much, Amanda. I just adore you and love you and excited to watch your family grow. So have an
Thank you,
incredible,
Molly.
beautiful morning.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Thanks.
Hey guys, we'd love to have you join our waitlist for our class of You from the Top. There are going to be incredible women who are making incredible, decisive, clear decisions. The energy is fabulous. The view from the top is fabulous, and there's room for you at the top. Go to sistersnextdoor.com and join our waitlist.